Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word to a sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice.
Shabbat Shalom, Barakatha, everyone. Welcome again to the Crystal Jones Show. It's the show that's all about life's balance. I greet you in the name of Ahaya, Bahashem Yeshaya, Warak Kwadash. Welcome to the show. We are so glad to see you again. Let me tell you how you can watch the show. Every Saturday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on BronxNet.org. Your cable channels, channel 951 and 2137 on the Inspired channel. Also, always go to my YouTube channel, The Crystal Jones TV Show. Subscribe, like, and share my videos. But Facebook, I have a new one now. It's called Crystal Jones Pictures and Videos. I'll put that up next time. I'm sorry I didn't put it up this time. But it's called Crystal Jones Pictures and Videos on Facebook. All right. Instagram, The Crystal Jones Show. You could go there and check out my daily Bible quotes that are very uplifting. People are really enjoying them. It gives you something to think about for the day. So also check me out on HebrewConnect.tv. All right. So today we're going to go to the scripture of the day, which is Jasher, the 77th chapter and the 36th verse. We've been talking about Moses, the new leader. All right. And we are going through the Hebrew Israelite or Black patriarchal history. All right. As we discussed before, there's really no such thing as Black or white people. We're nations of people. All right. So we're going to go through the Hebrew Israelite nation of people who are in the Bible, who for so long were told that wasn't us, or that we weren't the people, but we are. The different scriptures that I bring to you tells you who we are, especially Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We fit all of that. There's no other group of people that fit that. With just 12 tribes of people that look different now because we were scattered to all the parts of the earth, because again, our people did not fully obey the Lord our God. So now you have the different ones over in Haiti. They were the Levites. Next door to them is their brother, the Dominicans. They are the tribe of Simeon. Okay. You have here in America, the who they call Black African Americans, or whatever they call us, all these different names. But we are the tribe of Judah. You also have the people that were already here, the tribe of Gad, the Indians, okay, the North American Indians and the other Indians that were here already. They are one of the 12 tribes. You also have Issachar, the Mexicans, okay, Naphtali, the Hawaiians, the Fiji Islands, and the other areas over there. We look different because we got scattered, but the 12 tribes consist of a lot of different people of color that are scattered to the four corners of the earth, as the Lord said we would be. All right. So today's scripture is Joshua 77 in the 36th verse. We're talking about Moses, okay, and how Moses went through a lot. They tried to kill him as a baby. Why? Because he was going to be a savior for us, just as Christ was, just as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph. God used so many of our people to bring us out of troubles. Okay, so now Moses was the new leader after Joseph, because once Joseph had, ruled Egypt and helped people all over the earth because there was a famine, and he told them what to do because the Lord was with Joseph, and Joseph was able to use the ingenuity that God gave him and to save much people alive on the earth. But however, when he died, the Egyptians forgot the good that our people did for them through Joseph, and they began to feel jealous of us and to betray us and say, well, what if war breaks out and then they go against us. So instead of them uniting with us, they went against us, thinking the worst of us. So they brought us into slavery, and the Lord brought about Moses now. So Moses was brought up as if you go back and look at the other videos, he was brought up as an Egyptian, but he was raised by his mother, who was an Israelite. So a Hebrew, we're Hebrew. So his mother and his sister, they devised a plan where Pharaoh's daughter saw Moses as a baby when Miriam and her mother Jochebed, they were trying to hide Moses, so they put him in a little boat, sent him down the river, and sure enough, the Pharaoh's daughter saw him and she had compassion on him, so she took him in as her own. That was only of God's doing, because at that time they were killing all the Hebrew men. Sounds familiar, right? Always a plan to kill our men, so to stop our nation of people from going forward, from growing, from prospering. Okay, so it happened before. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything that you're seeing now has happened before. So Moses knew about his people. He knew he was Hebrew. So when he grew up, he went about to see his people in the land, the Hebrews, and he didn't like the way they were being treated by the Egyptians. Him and one of the taskmasters of the Egyptians got into a fight, and Moses wound up killing the man, and he had to flee because his fake grandfather, the Pharaoh who was raising him, said, well, he would kill Moses. So Moses ran away. He wound up being king over the Cushites. The Cushites got jealous of him, uh, and they, wanted him to leave because the queen didn't like him, because he didn't want to be bothered with her, because he wanted our nation of people to go forward, right? If you notice nowadays, they're not showing most of these commercials have nothing to do with all black families. They're putting black women with white men, or they're putting white women with black men, but I'm not even seeing the entire black family together at all. So again, that's an attack on our men. It's, trying to just wipe them out completely, and to make our race so that we won't know who we are, right? You could tell, right? So it's the same, type of thing that went on back then. So Moses knew he wasn't supposed to marry somebody that was not from his nation. And not that you hate anybody, but you want your nation to go. You want your nation to go on, just like anybody else's nation, right? So we see Moses, he had to flee from them, and after he fled, he ran into Zipporah and her sisters, and he was nice enough to save them from there were shepherds that were bothering them, and their father Ruel, he was a Midianite, so he said, well, where's the guy that saved you all? So Moses went with them to meet the father, and the father was mad when he found out that Moses had was king over the Cushites, right? They're Cushites, we're Hamites. So he was angry that Moses was no longer over them. So he put Moses in jail for 10 years. That was how he rewarded him for saving his daughters from these men that were going to probably rape them or do something crazy to them, right? So during the 10 years, Ruel's daughter, in spite of how evil her father had treated him, she kept him alive. She gave him food and all of that. And after, 10 years, she said, go check on him and let's see if he's alive. And so the father said, I doubt it. So here we are, Joshua, the 77th chapter, the 36th verse. And he saw, and behold, the man Moses was living in the dungeon, standing upon his feet, praising and praying to the God of his ancestors. Let's go over that again. This is Ruel. He saw, and behold, the man Moses was living in the dungeon, standing upon his feet, praising and praying to the God of his ancestors, the great I am that I am. Okay, remember that was the name that the Lord would tell Moses when Moses asked, well, Lord, now that you're sending me to go get my people out of slavery, who shall I tell them sent me? He said, tell them my name is I am that I am. So that's why you hear us say, Ahaya Ashar Ahaya. I am that I am in Hebrew tongue. Ahaya Ashar Ahaya. Right? So here we have, they tried to destroy Moses, but Moses was living and he didn't count it against God. He still went praying and praising and blessing God. And I reminded you all last week, a lot of times our people had to go to jail for what they believe, for what we believed in. We believe in the eternal God, the God of heaven and earth, the God of the Hebrew Israelites. We believe in him, the Bible. We believe in the true Bible, not the twisted way that was given to us once we were enslaved here in this country. All right. So this is the same God that Moses was serving, and he served the Lord even when he went into jail. We've had many leaders that had to go to jail. Dr. King had to go to jail. Many of our people went to jail. Joseph was in jail. All right. A lot of our people, Christ, they put him in. The disciples, they went to jail, right? Matter of fact, Christ was crucified, right? So a lot of times when you stand up for what's right, you will be evil entreated. Okay, because people don't get it, they don't understand, and sometimes people don't care because you either on the Lord's side or you on the other side. So some people from birth, they know they on the other side. So they're not going to be for you. They don't want you turning people to truth and righteousness. They rather a world full of chaos and nonsense. All right. So that's how that goes. So now we are going to go to today's news. Now, I spoke to you all before about what happens when a country is declared a state of emergency, especially this one. When that happens, the National Guard comes out and they claim, I believe it's eminent domain. When they do that, that means we own nothing and the government is in charge of everything. Now, this latest craziness that they've been doing with just busing immigrants in every day and giving them our tax dollars and not helping the people that are getting put out of their apartments and things like that. And not now, they're not even able to see the judge anymore. People that are being told they can no longer live where they live because they don't believe in doing different things that people in charge feel that they should do. Some people believe in natural healings and things like that, which is no longer invited here. All right. It's becoming more and more like a dictatorship here. So you have now they're switching out the people because a lot of people don't want to go along with the okie dokie, right? People like, nah, that's all right. I'm good. You could do that if you want to. I don't. Nah, I'm gonna. I'll keep drinking my ginger tea and this and that, right? Because a cold is a cold, right? So because you don't want to go for the okie dokie, there's a lot of people that lost jobs and things like that, or just can't afford the ridiculous rents in comparison to what they make, because a lot of places do not pay no $15 an hour like they claim was supposed to be the standard. Some people are hardly making it, making very little. Believe me, I've seen that there are people that make way lower than $15 an hour. All right, so because the people are giving pushback now, kickback, whatever, they don't like it. So now you got all of people who are citizens and have been citizens for years and pay their taxes, because those of us who are not in the 1% of crazy rich, we pay all the taxes, which is not fair, but this is what's done here. All right. So they can't, a lot of people can't afford where they live and stuff like that, basic apartments and things like that. So, they're being put out while they keep sending in busloads of people using our tax dollars, sending money over the countries for war. That it's just totally ridiculous, right? But this is what's going on, is that they're spending money that should be going to our people here. And I'm talking about citizens, whatever nationality they're from, citizens, and then also bringing people in and just immediately making them citizens, whereas other people had to struggle and go through so much just to become a citizen. So this is what's going on now. Here, I'm going to read to you a little bit. Okay. It says, New York calling for aid. New York calling for Air National Guard volunteers to help with migrant crisis. New York says 4 to 9 buses of migrants are arriving to New York City daily. 4 to 9. I bet you it's 10 to 12. I bet you. Ain't no 4 to 9. This is probably about 10 to 12. They just trying to, well, about four. How do you jump from 4 to 9? No, it's probably about 12 buses coming in about every day. All right. So now you have 4 to 9 buses of migrants coming in, and nothing against the migrants or anything. But if you can't even handle home, you can't even help your people or handle what's going on with your people, why are you inviting all these people in and using the tax dollars of the people who have lived here and worked for years to help other people when we're struggling ourselves, right? A lot of our people are struggling. All right. So it says here, the state of New York is calling on its Air National Guard members, and I told you they were going to do that, for help as busloads of migrants continue to arrive in New York City daily, not weekly. 4 to 9 buses, they claim, per day. Per day. Tell me that that's not, how can you tell me that that's not ridiculous? All right. Now, it says asylum seekers have arrived in New York City over recent months from nations in Central and South America. Nations. These are nations of people. And I realize that they're probably struggling or whatever, but why are they being sent over here? I'm sure there are other people that were trying to get here too. They didn't do that with the Haitians. No, they got on horseback ride and started beating them with whips and sent them back to Haiti, right? Okay, that's a problem for them to do that. Why are you helping these people as opposed to other people, right? Because you're switching out the people, switching them out, right? Now they're also hiring teachers from DR. You're hiring teachers from DR. So that means now, because you have all of these Spanish speaking people, the country is now going to basically become Spanish speaking along with English, right? Okay, who's going to teach all of this Spanish? You bringing in teachers from another country to teach here. All right. So that's going to knock out jobs for people who already live here. And that makes sense to you to switch out the people that are paying their taxes and stuff like that. So you're just going to get rid of them, right? You're going to have it where they're out on the street, they have nothing, while you bring in the new golden child. Okay, until you get tired of them, then you try to switch out the people again, and there'll be another golden child, right? So this is going to cause more chaos. It's going to cause fighting in the streets and stuff like that. Nation is going to be against nation. That I've read that to y'all in the scripture. Nation against nation. They're going to be fighting like crazy on the street. You think it's bad now? It's about to get lit. As they say, it's going to be lit in this country like never before, because Babylon the Great This is Babylon. Babylon has fallen, and it's a matter of time before we all gonna have to get out of here, because it's gonna be crazy between that and that nuclear crap that's gonna eventually reach over here. Now, it says asylum seekers have arrived in New York City over recent months from nations in Central and South America. Okay, reads a memo seeking Air National Guard volunteers that was obtained by certain news channel. The asylum seekers are arriving at the New York City Port Authority bus terminal at a rate of 4 to 9 buses daily without coordination with New York City officials. So the mayor, the governor, none of them really have anything to say about it, but wink, wink, I kind of doubt that. But anyway, without coordination with New York City officials, up to this point, New York City officials have worked with non-governmental organizations to manage the reception of these asylum seekers. New York City officials have identified a need to establish a more comprehensive and formal receiving process. The memo comes as Republican governors in border states have launched an effort in recent weeks to bus migrants crossing the southern border to sanctuary cities such as New York City, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. All right. Now, also Texas and Arizona have bused over 10,000 illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities, while Florida flew approximately 50 migrants to Martha's Vineyard last month. Okay, the buses have shifted some of the crisis that has plagued border states to northern locations, with New York City declaring a state of emergency over the influx of migrants that the mayor projected will cost the city $1 billion this fiscal year. Who do you think is going to pay for that? That's going to be our tax dollars. Now, this is not good that they're looking for the National Guard to come here, because eventually they will replace the popo. You know who I'm talking about when I say the popo. Eventually there won't be any more popo out there. It won't be, because the popo have really messed up so bad that they won't even have to whatever them at all, as they were asking people to do. It won't have to be, they're not going to be existing very soon. So it's going to be the National Guard out there. When the National Guard is out there, that's not going to be good, because they're not going to ask any questions. They're not going to be even doing what the popo was doing. They're going to be really crazy out there with what they do. Okay, so this is about to become a war zone, a real war zone. Get to know the Lord, know what's going on now. These are the last days, okay, before Christ shall return to this earth. All right. And when he returns, he's not coming as they lied to us during the Renaissance and said, oh, it's going to be, we're going to be raptured up, y'all, because we used to believe that. We're going to be raptured up. We ain't even going to be in the tribulation period. Baby, that was a lie. They did that so that they can catch us off guard, so that we be asleep, believing the dream. And that's not going to happen. All right. But it don't even tell you that it says there's a time where we will be caught up to meet the Lord, but it was not at this time. It's not. What's going to happen is when Christ returns, he's going to return as a warrior, okay? And he's going to clear that place out where he's going to rule and reign from Jerusalem. He ain't asking no questions. He's not going to put no ballot under your door or ask you to do an absentee ballot. He's going to come and rule and reign as priest and king, like the Lord God has him to do, because that's what he was meant to do. He is the Son of God. All right. He's not going to be playing with these people. He's going to put them in their place, and all that foolishness is going to be on silence. So if I were you, I would continue to tune in to find out, what should we do in these times? That's what I keep telling y'all. Prepare, prepare, prepare. Get your food stock up, get your food and whatnot, get your emergency equipment, your two-way radios and all of that, because it's gonna be a hot mess. All right. Eventually everybody's gonna go back to their place of origin. Basically, we're gonna have to get out of here. And we will have a time of being in the wilderness while all this crazy stuff goes on, because there's more. They want to uh make people half human, half robot, half human, half animal, and all kind of crazy stuff. They just, anything goes, and God is not pleased with it. So get to know the Lord, because you sure gonna need him. All right, so we gonna move on to our health and wellness. Consider getting two-way radios, y'all. A lot of organizations are doing that, finding out what we're going to have to do in emergency situations, if the nuclear or whatever kind of stuff hits these shores. When it does, you have to have a way to get in contact with your people so that you all can get together and get to running, get to, you know what I mean, get to moving. You got to get out of here, right? Or whatever. They messing with going out into the space. All right, that's going through a hot stratosphere of fire. This is why the air is so crazy, and the times and seasons are all mixed up. Also, because a certain group of people decided to change the years from 364 days to 365. And the Lord warned not to do that because it would cause everything to go off, all right, in the times and seasons. So we also are dealing with that, but definitely with people going into outer limits where they're not supposed to, but they're not telling you what their agenda is for going out there. Okay, that's messing up the weather. All right, so we don't know what's going to hit here: storms, tornadoes, whatever, but we need to be prepared and ready. All right, get in your groups and find out what you're going to do, you know, when something hits. Where are you going to, where's your emergency place and all of that. So I'm asking you to consider getting two-way radios, walkie talkies for emergency situations. All right. Also, for the business tips, do indoor events. Talk about the importance of and show examples of two-way radios for emergency. Maybe you can get companies to come in on your indoor events, since it's getting a little cooler and whatnot. You can have indoor events and talk about those things, and have people who are, manufacturers, different companies, they can maybe come in and talk to you about what are the best type of radios for your group. All right. Or if it's just your family, you know what I mean? That's a group, right? Okay. All right. So we down to the credo. Shema Yasharala. Ahaya Alahaya Nawa. Ahaya Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one. Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter and the 4th verse. Okay. So we're going to get back to our study of Moses, the new leader. Now, before Moses actually takes place over our Hebrew Israelites, he has to be taught different lessons. So he has to be brought up as royalty. He's brought up as an Egyptian. Then he has to flee the Egyptians that he was brought up under, right? And then he's over the Cushites, right? He's a Shemite. We're Shemites, right? When Noah came off the ark, everything was under his 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right. So we have the Hamites they are Africans. All right. The Shemites are us. We lived amongst them, but we are Hebrew. We're Israelites. All right. The Japhites, okay, they're more of the Arab nations. However, we have been all mixed into other countries and things like that. Okay. But you are who your father is. If your father's an Israelite, you're an Israelite, right? You may be related to the Israelites through your mother, but you are who your father is. And if as far back as you can go, if your father's people came to America on those ships, you probably are Shemite. You in one of the 12 tribes. You know, like I said, I'm gonna start reading it off again who those different people are. Okay, the people of color around the world who are Israelites. We look different because we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. All right, Ephraim is what? Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rican people of color. The Cubans are Manasseh, the tribe of Manasseh, you know, and on and on and on. But I'm going to bring back that chart again. Um, you know, for many nations, we're scattered everywhere. So it could be people who are Iranian, but they're Israelites or, you know, that type of thing. But we were the people back then in those days. Those people looked like us. Like I said, we had different complexions because of leprosy, vitiligo, and all of those things that were curses that were brought upon our people when we disobeyed, right? Also, the mixing in of nations too sometimes causes that lighter skin complexion, like myself. But in my family, we're all different shades of colors, right? But my people are Israelites, all right, on both sides. Okay. So anyway, we're gonna go back to the Bible, the book of Jasher, which is the apocryphal book, which was taken out of the Bible because certain beliefs didn't want us to know who we were. They decided to hide it. All right. And these books tell you the backdrop of the 66 books that are still left in the Bible. There were more than that when King James, who was also an Israelite, had brought together his scholars and they have put the different books together. All right. Also, the Essenes, they had books that came afterward that they hid because remember, we got put out of Israel, okay, in 70 AD. We had Vespasian and Titus to bring the war against us, and we lost the land for the last time. But different prophets and teachers of ours had hid things in pots and earthen vessels, and like the book of Revelation talks about, and the earth helped the woman. The woman would be Israel, and the earth helped the woman, meaning that there would be where we would find things in the earth that was buried for our learning. Different things were written for our learning to date back to when our forefathers were here on the earth, the things that God wanted us to know. He hid some things for an appointed time, but he also allowed uh, King James to put together with his scholars the original Bible of 1611. If you get a chance, you can go order that Bible online. Okay. So anyway, we go back again to Joshua, the 77th chapter, the 36th verse. And he saw and behold, the man Moses was living in the dungeon, standing up on his feet, praising and praying to the God of his ancestors. And Ruel commanded Moses to be brought out of the dungeon. So they shaved him and changed his prison garments and ate bread. And afterward, Moses went into the garden of Ruel, which was behind the house. And there he prayed to the Lord his God, who had done mighty wonders for him. And it was that whilst he prayed, he looked opposite to him, and behold, a sapphire stick. Now, Moses was a man of prayer, right? So after he prayed, he saw a sapphire stick was placed in the ground, which was planted in the midst of the garden. What stick was that? And he approached the stick and he looked, and behold, the name of the Lord God of hosts was engraved thereon, written and developed upon the stick. And he read it and stretched forth his hand, and he plucked it like a forest tree from the thicket, and the stick was in his hand. So he reached out and it came into his hand. Why? It belonged to him, right? And he read it and stretched forth his hand and plucked it like a forest tree from the thicket, and the stick was in his hand. And this is the stick with which all the works of our God were performed. After he had created heaven and earth. So after the Lord had created the heaven and earth and all the host of them, seas, rivers, and all their fishes. And when God had driven Adam from the Garden of Eden, he took the stick in his hand and went and tilled the ground from which he was taken. We were made from the ground of the earth, the dust of the earth, right? Which is dark. Okay, that's a clue too, right? That we would definitely be a dark complexion. We started out that darker complexion, right? So, and the stick came down to Noah and was given to Shem and his descendants until it came into the hand of Abraham the Hebrew. All right. Ham, Shem, and Japheth came off the ark with Noah. We're Shemites, right? So the stick is being passed down to our people. Shem and his descendants got the stick. Eventually it came to them after, Adam had it. It eventually got to Shem until it came into the hand of Abraham the Hebrew. Why was Abraham a Hebrew? He had left the land of the Chaldeans because they were wicked people, and the Lord told him to get away from them because they were serving idols. He said, I will make a nation of people from you. And he was the first Hebrew. That's how we became Hebrew. We're Hebrew by blood and Israelites by nationality. We became the Israelites. All right. So anybody else can't claim to be who we are. All right. They can convert to what we believe, but by blood, we are God's chosen people. All right. Always will be. Okay. And not that there's not a blessing for the Gentile nations. There is. If they turn and serve the Lord God, they too will be blessed. All right. So, when God had driven from the Garden of Eden, he took the stick in his hand and tilled the ground from which he was taken. So Adam was using the stick to till the ground. And the stick came down to Noah, eventually got to Noah, and was given to Shem and his descendants until it came into the hand of Abraham the Hebrew. And when Abraham had given all he had to his son Isaac, he also gave him his stick. So you got the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, right? So, and when Jacob had fled to Paddan Aram, he took it into his hand, and when he returned to his father, he had not left it behind. So Jacob had it too. Also, when he went down to Egypt, he took it into his hand and gave it to Joseph. All right, so Jacob gave that stick to Joseph. It was in the family, one portion above his brethren, right? Because Joseph was sold into slavery, right? So his father Jacob gave him a portion above his brethren. For Jacob had taken it by force from his brother Esau. Remember, Esau and Jacob strive. That's what's going on in the earth today. And after the death of Joseph, the nobles of Egypt came into the house of Joseph, and the stick came into the hand of Ruel, the Midianite. And when he went out of Egypt, he took it in his hand and planted it in his garden, right? So after the death of Joseph, now these nobles of Egypt came to the house of Joseph. They basically stole the stick and gave it to Ruel, the Midianite. It wasn't supposed to go to him, but it was because the Lord saw eventually Moses would marry this man's daughter. So he wanted to keep it in the family line. Because if you notice, Ruel didn't use the stick. He just put it in the garden because it wasn't for him, right? He took it in his hand and planted it in his garden. And all the mighty men of the Kenites tried to pluck it when they endeavored to get Zipporah, his daughter. So they knew that it was going to be connected to, Ruel knew that it was going to be connected to whoever got his daughter as a wife, right? So he took it in, he planted in the garden. All the mighty men of the Kenites tried to pluck it when they endeavored to get Zipporah, his daughter, but they were unsuccessful. So that stick remained planted in the garden of Ruel until he came who had a right to it and took it. So God will protect what's yours. If it's yours and you being obedient to the Lord, they can't take your blessing. And when Ruel saw the stick in the hand of Moses, he wondered at it like, what? Because he probably not really understanding fully who Moses is. He done put Moses in jail and all of that, and he can't stop his praise. Moses is still rejoicing, oh, praise the Lord, and he praying and walking through the dungeon. Blessed is the Lord Who teaches my hands to war? Right? He just praising the Lord, right? Hey, you war through your prayer too. You don't have to be duking it out in Walmart and all of that kind of stuff. You take that, them spirits that's after you, you take that to the Lord in prayer and let him fight your battle, right? So now, so the stick remained planted in the garden of Ruel until he came who had a right to it and took it. And when Ruel saw the stick in the hand of Moses, he wondered at it. And he gave him his daughter Zipporah for a wife because he said, wow, this guy, there's something to him. I put him in jail. I couldn't defeat him for 10 years. He been in jail. And he comes out, he gets the stick of God. Something up with that. I better be wise and just go and give him my daughter and let them get married because I want a blessing too. See, he was wise enough to realize that, right? At that time died Baal, Canaan, son of Akbar, king of Edom, and was buried in his house in the land of Edom. All right. So Baal, remember, he was like a sorcerer and all of that. Right. So now we are going to go down a little further. In those days, I'm in Jasher, the 78th chapter, and the 7th verse. In those days, Moses, the son of Amram, in Midian, took Zipporah, the daughter of Ruel the Midianite, for a wife. And Zipporah walked in the ways of the daughters of Jacob. She was nothing short of the righteousness of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah. So this woman was a godly woman. And Zipporah conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Gershom. For he said, I was a stranger in a foreign land, but he circumcised not his foreskin. Now, we as Israelites were supposed to have our boys circumcised. Okay. So he didn't do it because Ruel, his father-in-law, told him not to. So Moses should not have listened to this man, because you will see as they go on a little bit, you're going to see that the angel of the Lord came against him for that, because we're supposed to listen to God no matter what, not man, because people may not see what God has shown you, but you have to keep it moving. All right. All right. So, and she conceived again and bare a son, but circumcised his foreskin. Now, this son, he did circumcise his foreskin and called his name Eliezer. For Moses said, because the God of my fathers was my help and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh, king of Egypt, greatly increased the labor of the children of Israel in those days. So while this is going on with Moses, our people are still in Egypt suffering, right? Because God is getting Moses ready to come deliver our people out of this nonsense, right? So it continued to make, Pharaoh, king of Egypt, greatly increased the labor of the children of Israel in those days and continued to make his yoke heavier upon the children of Israel. And he ordered a proclamation to be made in Egypt saying, give no more straw to the people to make bricks. Let them go and gather themselves straw as they can find it. So he's making it harder, right? Also, the tale of bricks which they shall make, let them give each day, and diminish nothing from them, for they are idle in their work. So Pharaoh making up all this crap against the children of Israel. And the children of Israel heard this, and they mourned and sighed, and they cried unto the Lord on account of the bitterness of their soul, just like our people did in this land with slavery. We used to sit down and under the willow tree, which the Bible talks about, which only grows, I believe, here in the United States. We would cry. We would cry because our burdens were so much. All right, here on this soil, yes. We used to sit on those plantations and find those willow trees and sit back and cry. All right, because this was how bad our women, we were being raped. Our men were being raped. They call it buck breaking. They would hang our people on trees. They would cut our fingers off and use them for souvenirs. All kind of wicked nonsense that these people still today just want to play like, so what? So what, that happened, right? Right. So now, uh, uh, Pharaoh continued to make the yoke heavy upon the children of Israel. He ordered a proclamation to be made saying, give no straw, so that we had to go and get it ourselves. Also, the tale of bricks which they shall make, let them give each day and diminish nothing from them, for they are idle in their work. And the children of Israel heard this and mourned and sighed. They cried on account of the bitterness of their souls. The Lord heard the cries of the children of Israel. and saw, okay, the Lord heard our cries and saw the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Same thing here. The Lord heard our cry and saw what they were doing to us basically in the South here in America. I mean, we were in slavery all over the world at that time too. So there were others of us suffering in the Caribbean and different places too. But I'm talking basically, I'm going on here what was going on in America. And the Lord was jealous of his people and his inheritance and heard their voice. And he resolved to take them out of the affliction of Egypt to give them the land of Canaan for a possession. And Canaan is today's Israel, right? So now let's go to the next chapter. Okay. And in those days, Moses was feeding the flock of Ruel, Jasher, the 79th chapter. Okay, the Midianite, his father-in-law, beyond the wilderness of Sin, and the stick which he took from his father-in-law was in his hand. So now Moses is feeding the flock. He's, like he's a shepherd. And it came to pass one day that a kid of goats strayed from the flock, and Moses pursued it, and it came to the mountain of God, to Oreb. And when he came to Oreb, the Lord appeared there unto him in the bush. So while he's minding his business, he's, worshiping, doing what he's supposed to be doing with the Lord and all of that. So the Lord appears to him in a bush, and he found the bush burning with fire, but the fire had no power over the bush to consume it. So it's just a bush burning, but it's not burning up. Wouldn't it, if fire comes on a bush, wouldn't it, you know, get rid of the whole bush when it burned to the ground? But it's not burning to the ground. It's just a fire in the midst of it. And Moses was greatly astonished at this sight, wherefore the bush was not consumed. And he approached to see this mighty thing. And the Lord called unto Moses out of the fire. Can you imagine? You see a bush with fire, and the Lord is saying, Crystal, Crystal. I'm like, what? Huh? Lord, is that you? You calling me? Am I going nuts? You calling me out of the bush, right? So the Lord called unto Moses out of the fire. The fire means something. That's the heat of everything. The Lord is calling you out of the oppression that your people are going through, the heat, the climax of everything that's going on around you. I'm calling you in the midst of your trouble. I'm calling you, right? And commanded him to go down to Egypt. So you imagine all that's going on, and the Lord tell you to go back to the place where they chased you out of, and you like, what? You want me to go back there with them crazy people, Lord? He commanded him to go down to Egypt, to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to send the children of Israel from his service, from Pharaoh's service. We were not meant to serve any group of people. We were chosen above all the other people to serve the Lord. Our 12 tribes, all of our tribes, okay? The Dominicans, the Levites, all the different nations of people that I told you in the past and today. We were meant to serve the Lord, not people. All right. So all that you see us doing here today with jobs and stuff like that's really wasn't God's original plan. Okay. I got just a little bit of time left, and so I'm gonna go, The Lord said unto Moses, go return to Egypt, for all those men who sought thy life are dead. So now this is years has passed, and the Lord is telling Moses, going back to Egypt, all them crazy people, they're out of there. All right. I took them out, going back. And thou shalt speak unto Pharaoh to send forth the children of Israel from his land. Yeah, you going back there, and you going to the head leadership and tell them I said, get my people out of there. All right. And the Lord showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt, because these people were stubborn and hard-headed in Egypt. They didn't want to listen. So the Lord said, I'm going to do it through signs and wonders, because he's warning them through signs and wonders to let his people go. He's warning Pharaoh through these signs and wonders. The Lord is going to warn the Pharaoh, get up off my people. They got to go. I got an assignment for them. Get out the way, because if you don't get out the way, I'm coming for you. You coming for me? I'm coming for you. Okay? So And the Lord said to Moses, go return to Egypt, for all those men who sought thy life are dead. And thou shalt speak unto Pharaoh to send forth the children of Israel from his land. And the Lord showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt before the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of his subjects, in order that they might believe that the Lord has sent him. Now, remember, when we left Egypt from this situation, some of their people left with us too, because they was convinced. They was like, I don't know all this sorcery, these Egyptians, even though they were Egypt, some of them were Egyptian. They were like, nah, we gonna be with the children of Israel because they God, he ain't playing. He is awesome. We bye. They left. And they were Gentile nations. So Gentile nations do have a chance to receive the Lord, whoever they are. Long as they receive the Lord and do what's right and admit to, because we all have to repent and turn to the Lord, even us, because our people have gone astray, as you can see, which they always in the news and stuff like that. They only show our people. But when you see who are who are the greatest number of terrorists in this country, it's not our people. But it's meant to make our people to be monsters, and that's all you ever see with our people. They ain't gonna show you the people who are our people, who are educated, who are doctors, lawyers, who work through the government, and all these different places, the nurses, they're not going to show you the things that we invented, that they used to lie and say that they invented. Because I meant to share this with you too, that the inventions of Black Americans: two-cycle gasoline engine, okay, two-cycle gas engine, starter generator for cooling gas engines. All right, these are patented inventions of our people. They're not going to tell you about that. I got a whole book here of different inventions that our people have had, that have done, and I forgot to do that today. But I'm gonna be going through that week by week, our inventions that they used to lie and say they invented, till we were able to get our patents. All right, so they're not going to tell you that, right? So the Lord showed him to do signs and wonders in Egypt before the eyes of Pharaoh and the eyes of his subjects, in order that they might believe that the Lord had sent him. And Moses hearkened to all. You got to hearken to all. You can't pick and choose. All that the Lord had commanded him, and he returned to his father-in-law and told him the thing. And Ruel said to him, go in peace. Like, oh, well, you got to bounce from here. You're gonna have to go in peace, because, the Lord called you. I ain't getting in the way. I know he blessed you while you was here, and you blessed me, bro, but you got to go, right? And Moses rose up to go to Egypt, and he took his wife and sons with him. And he was at an inn in the road, and an angel of God came down and sought an occasion against him. Now, you could be walking in the ways of God, but there could be something you forgot to do that the Lord told you to do, right? And he wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son, because he had not circumcised him. Watch those circumcisions and the things that the Lord tell you to do. Do them, so that the Lord don't send somebody coming, you know, send somebody after you, right? Okay, come on now, right? So, because he had not circumcised his firstborn son, and had transgressed the covenant which the Lord had made with Abraham. Don't transgress what God tells you to do. Just go on and do it, right? And he wished to kill him on account of his firstborn son, because he didn't do what the Lord said. For Moses had hearkened to the words of his father-in-law instead of the Lord. Watch that when people tell you to do something that God's not telling you to do. Okay, so he hearkened to his father-in-law not to circumcise the firstborn. Therefore, he circumcised him not. Zipporah, though, the wife, saw the angel of the Lord seeking an occasion against Moses, and she knew that this thing was owing to his not having circumcised her son Gershom. Now she coming into the faith, and she know more than he know, right? And Zipporah hasted and took of the sharp rock stones that were there, and she circumcised her son and delivered her husband and her son from the hand of the angel of the Lord. Now that's a good woman. She helped save her husband's life because the angel was coming to knock him out, over and out. And Aaron, the son of Amram, the brother of Moses, was in Egypt walking at the river side on that day, right? So here we got, these are black people. You got a sister, which they show us in a horrible light today as, you know, freaks and pimpesses or whatever kind of garbage that they want to present us as. But here's a sister that was doing the right thing. Why don't I have no videos on her? What about Zipporah? All right. Okay, what about all these other godly women? What about the godly women today that are doing the right thing, right? That are telling of God's goodness, that are living the life of the Lord. But no, we rather focus on the people who are very confused, very, very confused, and, you know, making it that we're all whores or that type of thing. And we're not. We're serving the Lord. You know, a lot of us are. So, but they not gonna show that. They gonna show the ones that's, you know, on these videos, shake it what you got and all of that kind of stuff. They're not gonna show the godly black woman. They not gonna do it. All right. So, you know, thank God Zipporah saved her husband, you know, because the angel would have took him out. All right. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pretty much stop there because we're going to go into another portion of it next week. We're going to go into our next phase of this, of Moses, the new leader. All right. So thank you all for joining into the Crystal Jones Show. It's the show that's all about life's balance. Share this video. Go to my YouTube channel. All right. Check me out every Saturday night, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., channel 951, 2137, the Inspire channel. Go to Facebook. Check me out at Crystal Jones Pictures and Videos, okay? Also, Instagram, all right? Check me out on Instagram. Look at the daily Bible quotes and things, all right? Also, HebrewConnect.tv, all right? So, you all check out the show. You can always check me out. Kwam Yasharala Kwam, rise up, tell this, share this with somebody. All right. The Lord is soon to come. This is all that's going on is what Christ predicted. All right. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. Rise up and tell a story. Kwam Yasharala Kwam. You, and you always stay balanced.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
To get to know each other
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
And discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Stop using church intimidation, control and manipulation. Jezebel and all them spirits fall back, not trying to hear it. Go with Jesus, walk in peace. On your pew can sit that beast that we're fighting in the world. I'm that JC Supergirl, Jesus Christ, belt of truth, arm of God, I'm slaying you. Power of the word, two-edged sword. MC Heaven rocks for her Lord. Thought they crept in unaware, didn't see the gatekeeper standing right there. Not getting down with your tactics, undoctrinal practice. Read